All right, the patch has been changed till tomorrow, so it is going to be on the 12th. Now, we're going to talk about this new system and how to optimize it. I believe most people have already made a decision what they're going to do with their roster, but we're going to talk about what some people are going to do to min-max, and a lot of this is going to be speculation on whether or not it will actually play out that way or not. We're also going to talk about the disaster release of Jean Grey. Multiple interesting, if not broken, interactions leads me to believe that they did not QA this card at all. First things first, everything is going to be tomorrow. We're also expecting some sort of balance patch for tomorrow. Fortunately, at this time, I don't have that information available, but we should have that by tomorrow. Now, we do have what the cards are going to be, the featured card for each week. So the featured cards are going to be the cards that are going to be in the spotlight caches. So every 10th collector's reserve is now going to be a spotlight cache. And you're going to want to save these because they're very important. And there are going to be 3 available cards and then a 4th random series 4 and 5 cards. So if you're wanting to open the spotlight cache tomorrow, if you have 4 of them and you want Jean Grey, you will get Jean Grey. So the 25% on the first opening to get Jean Grey, 25% to get Null, 25% to get Living Tribunal, and then the 4th card will be a random 4 or 5. Now, if you're going to have to open 4 if you want to guarantee that you're going to get Jean Grey. But here's the thing. You may open on the very first one, get Jean Grey, and then you want to stop. And so mathematically, if you're looking to get the new release card, which is shown, you're just going to be Jean Grey, Echo, Legion, and Mirage, you really are only going to have to open 2.5 of them. So over the course of a month, if you do get, let's say, 50 collector's reserves, 5 spotlight caches, or cache, however you say it, you should be able to get 2 of the new release cards out of 4. And then if you count the battle pass card, basically, potentially, mathematically, you should be able to get 3 of the new cards if you're a battle pass purchaser without having to spend extra. And as long as you're selective, and if there's 2 that you don't particularly care for, you should be in a good place. Now, what happens if you open a card you already have? Let's say you already have Null, you already have Libby Tribunal, whatever this 4th card is going to be a random 4-5. Well, you're going to get a special variant. So like if you already have Null, you will get this variant here. If you already have Living Tribunal, you will get this variant here. If you already have Jean Grey, then you will get this variant here. So this is the most important thing. If there's a bank of cards here that you want to open, absolutely 1000% stop once you get the card that you want, because otherwise you're just throwing away and then wait to the next week. Now, this first week right here, Jean Grey is a busted card. I'm going to talk about how broken she is. Null is a playable card in Destroy decks and Galactus decks. Living Tribunal is largely, in my opinion, an almost nearly unplayable card. Nuanced, fun at best. Echo Iron Lad has some play, but I don't feel like Iron Lad ever was like a must-have card, like in the same way that I feel like High Evolutionary Jeff and Spider-Ham are kind of, in my opinion, must-have cards if you want to play competitively right now. King is useless. Then we got Legion, High Evolutionary, and Darkhawk, and I believe High Evolutionary and Darkhawk are both must-have cards. So if you're interested in Legion, you do not have High Evolutionary, and you do not have Darkhawk, then you're going to want to wait till this week right here to start opening your spotlight caches. And then lastly, we've got Mirage, Thanos, and Master Mold. And Thanos sees play. I think Thanos is a good card. I don't feel like Thanos is nearly as meta-defining as he once was. But right now, as far as meta-defining cards that are on these featured card list, High Evolutionary and Darkhawk are definitely in that category. Iron Lad and Null and Thanos all see play, and then you can make your own individual determinations on how you feel about the new card releases: Mirage, Legion, Echo, and Jean Grey. Now, there is a way of min-maxing this, and I do not know if this is going to work. So there's this idea that, you know, every 10th collector's reserve is going to be a spotlight cache. And if you know which one's going to be what, then you could min-max it, because under the current system, before the change is implemented tomorrow, there's a couple things going on that are advantages in the 9 that are not the spotlight. And, you know, more gold today, more collector tokens, a lot more collector tokens, and there's a pity system for Series 4, which happens 1 of 4. So if you were able to open the 9 today and save the 10th one for the spotlight cache for tomorrow, that would be insanely beneficial if one could do that. And I don't know that that's possible. Nobody knows how the system's going to work exactly. And so there's this idea of people waiting to see when the patch goes live. And I don't actually even know if this is going to work. And this is 1000% speculation. In general, I think for most players, it's better to save these anyways and just open them all after the new system, because the new system seems relatively beneficial. It does take away some agency, but it does seem like a system that gives more cards, and it definitely gives more variants. And I think it is a generally player-friendly new system. So there's a video about it, and I'm going to link to this video right here. This is the Educated Collins video. I will put a link in the description. But if you haven't watched the video, summing it up, the best way to optimize our cache is to save them before the patch, then open the normal ones before the patch, open the spotlight ones after the patch by keeping your game open pre-patch. So the way that Marvel Snap typically has worked is that everybody is not forced to update their game at the same time. And so this is insanely difficult. I'm not going to bother with this, but I just want to understand that this is an idea. This is a concept that some people may potentially be able to take advantage of, is that when the patch does go live, let's say it is this time tomorrow, then people will be able to see where on the track this system is going to work. And this is unknown. And then if they're able to open the 9 that are not going to be the spotlights, then they're going to get the added benefit of the pity system, the gold, and the collector tokens that the collector's reserves had before. And then they're going to have only the spotlight cache remaining. And I kind of think like this is like gaming the system, and it's kind of hard to do. But I just wanted you to be aware that this is an idea that people are going to try doing. It says normal ones before the patch, open the spotlight ones after keeping your game open pre-patch, setting up this post so we can screenshot and communicate about the position of the spotlight caches, which might be different for every person. They may have a multitude of ways of preventing this from happening, frankly. They could make everybody update the game. They could do it random. They could make it so that the system doesn't update the way that we think it's going to be. This is 1000% speculation, as well as clear up confusion. I could be sure we are doing it right. If you aren't doing this, we ask you please screenshot a video showing of your collection track. It would help us a lot. All right. And so I will link that. Now let's talk about Jean Grey. And this is a mess. And I went ahead and purchased Jean Grey. This feels like this is a screw up in the same way when Kitty Pryde was released. So far from what I've read and heard, Jean can't be Enchantress. I don't even know how this even happened. Like right here. Do they even have a QA team? How does Jean Grey drop and immediately not interact correctly with Enchantress? Like, this blows my mind. I mean, if this is intended, it just seems so strange. I mean, if for lore, it kind of makes some sense, I guess, but I really don't think that this is the way they want it to work. And this card is going to have to be hot fixed or removed from the game or something. Works face down with Lemuria. Works through Dark Dimension and IW, Invisible Woman. Works as a pig. Works as a symbiote from Clinter. Works in Deep Space. Works against Daredevil. This is bonkers right here. So let's say I'm playing Daredevil and you're playing Jean Grey. Turn 5 rolls around and I have to wait to see what you do, right? Because I'm playing Daredevil. Well, you play Jean Grey, right? Then Jean Grey is active when it's my turn to play Daredevil, even though it's supposed to be, you know, an advantage. It actually puts like the Daredevil player at a disadvantage because Jean Grey hasn't been played and she's face down, but the effect is already in place. And now I have to place my first card into that location. Bonkers, right? And then Goose plus Jean can lock people out of playing completely if they only have a 4-cost card. Now, this may be an intended effect right here with Goose and Jean Grey. In fact, I've been testing it a little bit already. Silver Surfer decks run Goose, and Jean Grey is a 3-cost card, so it's just like, oh, this makes sense to put Jean Grey in a Silver Surfer deck list. And there was a kind of response about whether or not this is working correctly. More than willing to clarify this for you. No worries. I've coordinated this to the team and we'll get back to you once an update is available. Thank you for understanding and cooperation. We value your understanding and patience in the situation. This shouldn't be a bug according to relevant team input. We will share the experience with the team and keep improving the game. Support is greatly appreciated. Also, I want to emphasize that the word is if possible on Jean Grey description. They may play your first card on other locations. So what that means is that if the location is completely full, then it satisfies the if possible word. But this means that if there is a Goose slash Jean Grey on the same lane, this could be a lockdown. And so the Jean Grey description that you play your first card on the other location if the location where Jean Grey is already located already full. Otherwise, we'll be playing your first card in the location where she is present. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation. So the way that this reads to me is that the interaction with Goose and Jean Grey looks like it is intentional. What do you think about all of this? Lastly, I wanted to point out that we did get compensation, and there was 3 different compensations that I got. One was for Silk and not having the weekend missions. Then there was the 200 credits for the weekend missions. And then I was a Series 4 complete player that opened a ton of collector's reserves. I believe I opened up 75. And I did get 3,000 tokens for Spider-Ham. Now, other people opened up more than 40, and then they pulled other Series 4 cards, but they had a 0% chance of getting Spider-Ham, and they got no compensation whatsoever. And I don't think that's right. People were saving their collector's reserves to get Spider-Ham. Spider-Ham was bugged and not in the collector's reserves. They opened a bunch of their collector's reserves and they pulled Stegron, let's say, where they should have had a % chance of getting Spider-Ham. Those people did not get any compensation. I got compensation because I was Series 4 complete. I opened up a bunch of collector's reserves, and this makes sense, right? Opened up a bunch of collector's reserves, and I got nothing because I didn't have any Series 4s to get. And so they did send me the 3,000 tokens, but the people that did get Series 4 cards, they should have had a small chance of getting Spider-Ham as opposed to a 0 chance. They got no compensation whatsoever. I don't think that's right. I don't know what's going on with the game. It feels super weird. I played Galaxy of Heroes. I played Marvel Strike Force, and I was always super bothered by how relatively few bugs and screw-ups Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes had compared to Marvel Strike Force. All games have bugs, but Marvel Snap is having an excessive amount of bugs. Mobile games are expensive to play. I know that they're a new studio, but this seems super unacceptable when new cards and things like this are just not tested and not working correctly. Let me know what you think in the comment section. As always, thanks for watching. Keep on gaming. Bye for now.